The Nollie Kickflip, skateboarding's best kept secret. A Nollie Kickflip is a kickflip that is performed while riding in the nollie stance, obviously. This just means that you are using the nose of the board to pop and your back foot is going to do the flip instead of your front foot. So in order to learn this trick, I think first you should learn how to ride switch pretty comfortably. You should be okay with switching your stance and riding in the nollie position as well as switch. Also, you should be able to do nollies. They don't have to be particularly high or anything, but just be comfortable in that nollie position. And this is optional, but you could learn little nollie shove-its just so you're kind of used to popping off the nose and keeping your weight centered above the board. Side note, a nollie kickflip and a switch kickflip are basically the same trick, except one of them you're riding forwards and one of them you're riding backwards. It's like the same difference between fakie and regular. So some people choose to learn switch first, some people choose to learn nollie first. I'm going to show you how to do nollie first because I think that nollie position gives you a better momentum to flip the board easier. But keep in mind they are essentially the same trick. So the nollie consists of three parts. There's the pop, the flick, and the landing. So the foot positioning for this trick is going to be, first of all, step into the nollie position on the front of your board. Keep your front foot just basically in the center of the nose like you would for a regular nollie, and slide your back foot over. I keep mine around the bolts, kind of halfway on the board, but this kind of depends on personal preference. If you move your foot further off the board, you'll get a faster flick, but some people might think that's too fast, so you can kind of experiment where you put your foot. Basically, just think of where you'd set your feet up for a regular kickflip, and now try and mirror that. So to start off practicing, we're going to kick the board around a few times in this position. When you're standing still, there really is no differentiation between a nollie kickflip and a switch kickflip, so it doesn't really matter right now, but just keep in mind that when it does come time to do this trick moving, it will be different with your weight distribution, whether you're doing it nollie or switch. So this is going to start off feeling pretty awkward if you've never tried it before. But basically your goal is to be comfortable standing on the nose, putting the nose to the ground, and sliding your foot up and off the board. It really is just the opposite of a kickflip. You're just going to switch which foot is flicking and which foot is popping. So basically you're just going to stand on the stationary board and experiment with trying a few of the flicking motions. We're not trying to land the trick yet or even get close to it. Right now we're just strictly experimenting, trying to get that flicking foot to give the board that flipping motion. It's kind of like trying to use your non-dominant hand to write. You know the motions for it and you think you can mirror it, but it's going to come out kind of clunky and not so great. But this is why we're just strictly practicing, trying to get that foot to flick. So our end goal is to get something that looks like this, which may take a while to get the correct timing. It's almost like having to relearn kickflips. I've suggested this in a few of the other videos, but with this trick especially, I highly recommend that when you're practicing, you first start off by holding on to something. With such an awkward feeling trick, being able to hold on to something is going to really help you out with holding up your weight, and also just in case you fall, it's going to make it not as bad. So if you've gotten comfortable with giving the board a little flick and popping off the nose, it's time to start trying the same motion while moving. Again, there's no need to really try and land on the board yet. Right now we're just trying to get really comfortable. So just give yourself a nice push or two and try and kick a few of them. You might actually find that they're easier to flip now that you're moving as opposed to when you were stationary. The momentum of the board kind of pushes it into your flicking foot and it actually makes it flip faster. An important thing to remember is that you want to keep your weight centered and kind of over your back foot, or else you'll end up popping and flicking, but the board will end up behind you, or maybe you only have one foot on it. Basically, this is what a nollie looks like if you're leaning too far forward. So if you correct it and lean over the board, you get a nice nollie. And same thing with the nollie flip. If you're leaning too far forward, it kind of looks like this. as opposed to this. So as I said before, if you're new to doing nollie or switch tricks, this trick is going to feel pretty awkward at first. Or maybe it won't for you, maybe the momentum will actually help you out. But either way, try and put all these steps together into one coherent piece and you should end up with a nollie flip. So here are a few nollie flips. Pay attention to my feet and look at my flicking foot. You'll notice that I actually don't even flick nearly as much as I do for a regular kickflip. That's because of the momentum, and it's just kind of easier to flick when you're going nollie. Once again, I highly recommend holding on to something when you're first practicing this trick. That way you can avoid slipping out or doing anything bad. And besides that, just like all other tricks, it's really a trial and error thing, where hopefully you try it enough times and you tweak some things and you'll land it. So this was basically just a brief overview of how I do my nollie flips. And I just want to point out, I do know I do not have the best nollie flip in the world. I have a bad habit of kicking the board straight down and it ends up bouncing off the ground, so I have to really focus on flicking outward so it doesn't do that. But even so, the basic steps should be the same, and you should be able to learn from this. So I hope that this trick tip helped you at all, and if it did, feel free to like and comment or subscribe, whatever you want to do. Also, if you have any requests for any particular trick tips that you want me to do, let me know in a comment below and I'll be happy to do them. And besides that, thank you for watching, and you can like and subscribe if you want.